My name is Hans Steinhorst. I grew up in this town from the age of 6. If you look at this map, you can see this Bamberg is roughly divided into 3 parts. We are in this part, and you see this far trading road we are standing. This is the old Imperial Road number 4, starting in Lübeck and going all the way down to the Danube, where in the Middle Ages there was the only stone bridge over the Danube River. And so this is really a Baltic Sea, Mediterranean connection. And it goes back to the Stone Ages. They have already exchanged salt and amber at this place. You see Adler Apotheke, I would say pharmacy. You see those round iron brackets, and this is Bacchus. It says here you get wine. Further down there's a little barrel. This is where you get beer. You know, this is for illiterate carters to find the necessities of life, the spices of life. Before that bridge, if you turn to page 8, we did have this famous suspension bridge. The engineers who built Brooklyn Bridge came to Bamberg to study this construction and learn from it. The floats got stuck in the arches, and the pressure of the water was so great that the bridge broke and more than 40 people drowned. And the whole area, the water where I stand, the water was higher than I am. This was at the end of World War II. The US Army coming from the north, it was the 45th US Infantry Division from Oklahoma. At about 12:20, they reached this point, the entrance to town. You see the picture taken during the fight for Bamberg. It is a US Army Sherman tank. When I was a kid, when you turn to page 16, this was my schoolway because I had to go to Lübeck, which is in this direction, and this is how this building looked like. And this is Lübeck, laying in the river. Have you got it? This is right over there. See Hechtfischer? It's still there. So when I went to school, I crossed this Holzsteg, this wooden emergency bridge. And my favorite in this bridge is this little, I hope I pronounce it rightly, pavilion over there. See, the whole area was destroyed, but this little building survived all of it. So on page 21, you can see what the entrance into town looked like before the war, in the pre-war period. If you look at those buildings, they were rebuilt in the early 50s by the old architects, you know, imitating the old Bamberg style. And then when they came to the end of the block, all of a sudden, it occurred to them that there was a Bauhaus. And they built at that time, a rather modern building. You know, these are done very traditionally, and this one is built to late 50s or maybe early 60s. And here you see this building, and there are military symbols like helmets, cannons, drums, flags, shields with coat of arms, and even cannonballs and cannons you can spy, and my little eyes spy even bow and arrow. See it? Yeah. There is the sign with a mother and a child. See this? When you go right there and you look in this direction, you will have a point of view to a church steeple. And on top of the church steeple, there was our fire watcher. And the town was planned that the tower, that the fire watcher could look right to the end of town. In Bamberg at that time, in 1933, we had about 800 Jewish people living in this town, but they were very important because 20% of the attorneys were Jewish and 10% of the medical doctors, and most of the shops and the small industry was in the hand of the Jewish families. Especially important for Bamberg was the hop dealing. The Bamberg Jews were buying hops in Bavaria and Czechoslovakia, and they were preserving it and sending it to the United States. Suffragan bishop? Yeah, a suffragan bishop, and he was housed here. When we had to stop killing Protestants, we founded a university to defend den Glauben, the belief, to defensio fidei, it says in our files, you know. And you see over here, there's a church standing. This was Old St. Martin, and Old St. Martin was right here where we stand, facing east with the choir and the altar, as every decent church should do, and the tower in the west with the entrance. And in front of the church and in the rear of the church, there was the churchyard. In the old times we had two parishes, the upper parish, this is where we had our Friday dinner, and the lower parish. So Bamberg used to be for almost 1,000 years an independent prince-bishopship, and in 1803 we became Bavarian. We were taken over by the Bavarians, and we don't forgive them this act till nowadays. Because what did they do to us? You know, they brought the freedom of press. You know, they brought the possibility to get a divorce. They brought a bürgerliches Gesetzbuch, that would be a written law, a common law. This shows you how this side of town looked more than 100 years ago. And if you keep turning pages, you see how the site has changed. When you please go to 32, and you can try if you still find buildings standing, like this one is still there. But what they have done, you know, they have destroyed this Baroque building totally inside. You know, what's left of the Baroque building is just a facade. And you can still see the building where Coma is. Coma is untouched. Okay? Widely untouched. If you go to page 33, you see that the department store record where now Earl is, they already have broken in big shop windows and connecting two buildings. Okay? This is when I came to town, record was still there. And if you turn farther, you see that we in Bamberg, we don't need the devastations of war. We can devastate our town by ourselves, you know. When it comes to money grabbing, and this is what an architect did to Bamberg in the 60s. And I don't forgive him.
No, I don't either.
Right.
No.
This is what Fleischstraße looked, because before our town council did some decisions, what they did is the whole line is fake. You know, they were tearing down the old buildings you see on page 35 and reconstructing it with concrete and then faking, you know, the buildings, except one building, and I'm sure your little eyes will spy which buildings stood untouched. There used to stand this rather beautiful Baroque restaurant and hotel. It was really a Gasthaus, as we would call it, and Bamberger Hof, and it was torn down, I think, about 1908 or 1909, and then Kronfuß came, and he wanted to build for Herz und Tietz, we call it Hertie, this American-sized department store, and he found this university, Baroque University church, which is now St. Martin, but it was a Jesuit church, and it was the patron was Jesus, of course, as it says over the main entrance, you know, but they changed it when the parish took over. And so he had to deal with this rather splendid facade, and now you can see how he did it in the Jugendstil, and he even, those, do you call it niches where the saints stand? Yeah, he did the same at this building. Unfortunately, the trees are camouflaging the facade. So for this fountain, they built a pipeline, a water pipeline from the Stephansberg, where our beer cellars are, and where there is clean water, 2 kilometers crossing 2 river branches to get fresh water right here. You can see on the right-hand side what this building looked like. There was a huge balcony in front of it. Can you see? Yeah. The reason, we were just bombed by the US Air Force, and they were always trying to hit military targets. They were not out to destroy buildings like that. This was collateral damage. We were not bombed by the Royal Air Force because the town has 2 branches of the Regnitz River. You know, we crossed one and we will cross the other. So the analysts of the Royal Air Force thought that a firestorm wouldn't be possible, as it was possible in Dresden, and it was possible in Würzburg and in Heilbronn and in most other German towns. So this is one of the few bigger German Middle Age towns of the Middle Ages which were not burned by the Royal Air Force because of those 2 river branches. When you look at page 53, you can see what this area looked like before the war. And right there behind this tree, there was this monument for the 1st Royal Bavarian Lancer Regiment. You know, and you can see that from Marcus Clay down all the way, the whole block was destroyed during the war. If you go to page 55 is, you can look right there to Lange Straße. So the whole block was destroyed, but not by the bad Americans, but by German artillery. When the Americans had occupied the town, the Germans were shelling from debris. In the Baroque time, when this apothecary was still running, was chocolate, tea, and coffee. And according to the fashion, you, as a lady of standing, you needed a small Negro boy to serve tea, chocolate, or coffee in this new fashion porcelain, china, you would say, you know. And so they bought these boys from the Netherlands, and they did not come from Africa, but from the Caribbeans, yes. And they were taken away from their mothers when they were 6, and it was a fashion as a lady of standing, you should have a nicely dressed up Negro boy to do the serving. You know, in the late 15th century, they were changing the run of the river from west, and they made small and narrow So they had enough power for 40 mill wheels to turn. And now you can take, you can do some canoeing here. You know, the current is so strong. We are standing on the oldest part, the stone bridge in Bamberg. Behind this door was a Gestapo headquarters. When I grew up in Bamberg, it was still police headquarters, but they had the Sittenpolizei in there in the 50s. And then die Frauenbeauftragte, which is in verse. You know, this is a career for building. Rottmeister, town constabulary, Gestapo, Sittenpolizei, whatever this is. Moral, yeah. Ja, Sittenpolizei, Frauenbeauftragte. And it says Klaus Graf Stauffenberg, Oberst IG, meaning im Generalstab, in English, in the General Staff. If he would be a colonel, a normal colonel, without an IG, he would have commanded 3,000, a regiment of roughly 3,000 soldiers. With 3,000 soldiers, there were no chance to overrun Hitler. But working in the general staff, in the tactical department, he could organize an uprising against Hitler in all German-occupied Europe. And in Paris, they were almost successful overrunning him, and so they were on the verge of success. But then one captain in Berlin changed it all. An engineer captain calling Goebbels. And then he really turned the whole thing. And Stauffenberg was shot in the same night. And up go your eyes, and there she is, Gaia, the mother of Earth. And she has so many children that she needs 4 tits to feed them. Okay, Jane, this would be the end of tour.
Okay, thank you very much.